It's time to dance. I know it's 5 o'clock in the morning.
I'll be right here.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
And
5 o'clock.
need a friend, you can count on
Brian,
me.
music is so loud.
Right here.
There we go. Now it's completely turned off. Here we go. Now it's going up and down. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I think he's messing with us.
Yes,
There we
yes.
go.
We're finally awake.
We can't hear anything now.
The web.
There you
at
go.
whenyounneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show and you just stumbled upon it, you're in for a treat. For those of you who continue to join us, I am so grateful to you. But let me share a little bit about what my show is about. I am committed to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my viewing and listening friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today, I'm not sure. Are we giving out a book today? I'm not sure. I'll have to ask. I don't want to put them on the spot. But today, we're talking about the book, The Alzheimer's Solution, with doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai. So this is a book that we gave away last time they were on. I didn't even ask this question this time. But this time I want to encourage you to really listen, because most people think that as you get older, you're going to get forgetful. As you get older, you're going to get dementia, Alzheimer, diabetes. There's so many different things, movement disorders, so many different things that we have been programmed to believe that is age-related. But is there something that you can do about it? What if there was something you could do about it? What would you do? Would you be willing to change things around? Would you be willing to change your DNA? Would you? What are you willing to do? So today we are talking to doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai, Team Sherzai, yay team, because they're going to share tips and breakthroughs and how to prevent and reverse cognitive decline. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful to doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai for coming back on the Lillian McDermott radio show. Welcome. 5 o'clock in the morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yay!
Perfect. Yes, we're here. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us back.
We are. This is wonderful. Yes.
Well, the last time you guys came on, I don't know if you guys got to share, how did you guys meet? We have two neurologists in the family here. How did you guys meet? This is just the intro here.
Do you want to hear my version, or
yes.
I'll
Okay,
take?
so yeah,
You're the true version.
I love. Let's hear both versions. Dean, why don't you start?
We're both very service oriented. Everything about our life is about service. We have a gathering on Sundays with our two kids, Sophie and Alex, 11 and 13, and we go over our mission and goals. And our mission is to help lower suffering. And so we always do service weekends in churches, synagogues, community centers. And we, 15 years ago,
yes.
We both, one of our international trips, I was in Afghanistan with the Health and Human Services, basically organizing the whole healthcare system for the country as the titular deputy minister of the country. And Ayesha went back with Doctors Without Borders to help out.
Yes, in the refugee camps.
Yes, and we met in a party, and I was sitting, and she just came and started talking to me, and very forward, very strong, very powerful, as she should be.
He was so inspiring. I just had to know him better.
So we started hitting it off, and she knew. In a country like that, nobody knows about NIH. And said, I know you left NIH, National Institutes of Health, one of the best research places to come to this country to help out. I said, yeah, how do you? And that's where it started. And a year later, after much dating, we were married.
Yes.
Whoa. Ayesha, did you stalk him? Now that's my version. That's my version of the story. So what is your version, Ayesha?
No, I think he stuck to the right version this time. It's usually embellished,
Yes.
but he was such an inspiration. He had left everything and went to the country for basically nothing. He was giving away off of his pocket to help everybody, and everybody was inspired, by him. And I was just so lucky to be there at the right place at the right time.
Wow, talk about dragging a man by the hair into the cave, right?
No, I think we had the same visions. We actually, on the first night, we started talking about our grandparents. Her grandfather was one of the most brilliant human beings you could have ever
Yes.
imagined, but developed Parkinson's, and then dementia and Alzheimer's, and mine the same thing.
Yes.
And we started talking about that, and actually, that completely laid down the seed to restart our work towards neurology and brain. It was amazing.
It was. We were both so interested in finding out how the mind works and what really happens when people go through dementia. And so we made it our life's goal to understand it better.
Yeah.
That is it's wonderful for us. Unfortunately, you saw the most brilliant mind diminish from a lighthouse to a flicker. And then, what happens? But as you have said before on the show, and many of others say, this doesn't need to happen this way, right?
Absolutely. We were affected by it, and when we started working, we worked in a clinic where we actually saw the devastation of how it affects people.
Absolutely. And we're going to continue speaking with doctors Ayesha and Dean Sherzai when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Here we go. So,
Recording.
what a great story of how you guys met. This is interesting that everything is divine. Everything is divine. And you guys were open to the divine in each other. And look at what you've been able to create. So you look at what you've been able to help heal the people around you. You may not be able to help your grandfathers or your parents or the people that you love the most, which is something that I would love to maybe address right now while we're on the break. Brian, let us know how much time we have left on the break. But I'm finding it very difficult for people who understand this new truth to be able to affect their families in a way that you want to be able to affect them. So you have children, or you have siblings, or you have parents or aunts and uncles that are continuing to eat the standard American diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? Because I'm having an issue with it too, with the people we love. We want to, this is stuff that but there's still people around you that are killing themselves without knowing. How do you do that?
It's about culture and everything, from a business perspective and from a public health perspective, and everything. It's culture, and culture doesn't have to do from. It's not based on the idea of where you're born. It's what you're familiar with. Mm-hmm. And my definition of culture is when language and ideas around or around an idea become ubiquitous in a population, ever present, without you knowing it. You see it more often. You hear it more often. That's what changes populations. People want to center, the majority of the population wants to center around general ideas. So people are actually, I'm very optimistic.
Yes.
We're hearing more and more about this.
Yes, here we go. So this is part 2. Ready to dance? I love your story. Thank you for sharing.
Of course, it's our pleasure.
373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today we have a treat. We are in for a treat because we have Doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai. So before we went on the break, we talked about how they had the most incredible minds surrounding them in their life, and they got to see them, unfortunately, diminish. Their light diminished. But the beauty of it, if we go back and we look in gratitude, they were such great teachers for the two of you to ignite the passion. So let's talk about some of the tips. What have you learned that we could immediately incorporate in our life? And let's start with you, Dean. And for both those of you who are listening and tuning in right now, we're talking to two incredible neurologists who have an incredible background. And so we're getting tips from experts. So I hope that you're taking notes, and we are giving away their book. They're the 10th caller or texter, The Alzheimer's Solution. The Alzheimer's Solution, a breakthrough program to prevent and reverse the symptoms of cognitive decline at every age. So let's start with you, Dean. What would be a tip that you'd like to share to wake people up right away as they listen to us?
The first thing is attitude, understanding that these diseases are not your destiny. The idea that genes do not destiny make. The fact that the biggest myth is that if you have a family member, a father, a mother, or grandparent who's had this disease, it doesn't mean that you will develop it. The other side of it is just because you don't have it and you don't appear to have the risk, it doesn't mean that you're not going to develop it, or more importantly, you're not going to have cognitive decline. This is not just about Alzheimer's. It's about maintaining a vibrant, boundless brain well into your 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. This is about each of us meeting our full brain potential, which is way more than we talk about on a daily basis.
Yes, yes. Would you like to add to that, Ayesha?
I think that was beautiful. Also, the fact that diseases of the mind don't start when they manifest themselves. A lot of us think that, you actually start having the disease when you feel it. We are a very dynamic organism. These disease processes actually linger in our bodies for a very, very long time before our body gives up and symptoms start showing. And that's why it's very important to actually start preventing diseases even when you don't feel it in your early, say 50s and 60s. And that's one of the things that people have a very difficult time connecting, thinking that, it must have started when I actually felt like going to the doctor. And that's where the importance of lifestyle kicks in.
Yes, go ahead. And before you respond, I just realized I don't think I gave the number 407-373-5959. 10th caller or texter 407-373-5959 gets the copy, The Alzheimer's Solution. Dr. Dean, so share a little bit. You can add to what Ayesha said.
Yes. In fact, yes, 40s, 50s are fantastic. 60s, 70s, they help. But if somebody's proactive, if they have kids, we have two kids, Sophie 11 and Alex 13. Whatever you do early on, as early as possible, actually builds to that resilience. It's that bank account that you build upon. The bigger your bank account, the less likely that later trauma in life, and we all have trauma in life, just what we eat, how we interact with the world can be building or traumatizing. That bank account guarantees that your system will not be overwhelmed.
Okay.
So the sooner you start, the better.
Okay. So you both talked about time. You talked about the age of time. What's the time span? What I do today affects me how far along the way? Which, Dean, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, as much as 30 years, 40 years or later, because this cumulative process starts, it builds. Either you have built the bank account, like I said earlier, or it just, after a while, you haven't built a bank account. And on top of that, you've actually allowed the trauma to build underneath the clinical symptoms. And all of a sudden, you start seeing the manifestation of it. Mm-hmm. When you see the manifestation of it, a great deal of damage has already been done. In Parkinson's disease, by the time somebody sees the tremor, about 80% of a particular part of the brain called substantia nigra has already been damaged. Mm. Same thing with Alzheimer's. By the time you see the full manifestation of dementia or early dementia, a significant amount of damage has been done. You can still do a lot of work. You can still do a lot of things to slow it down. But if you have started earlier, you have developed a resilient protection against anything.
Okay, so many of us are going through life bankrupt. We're the void of nutrients, the void of exercise. I'm speaking for myself when I say stress, the lack of sleep and all of that. So here we go. many of us are bankrupt. Ayesha, if you can share a little bit about this attitude of time, because if I see a tremor now, that means, oh my gosh, I'm done. What can I do to prevent it from progressing further? Is there anything, can attitude help that? What are some of the steps we need to make sure we fill that time up with something that will help protect us from the future?
I think that's a great place to start. I think the first thing would be just planning. Putting your health first, looking at what your strengths are, what your limitations are, and moving forward. Some people might be really good when it comes to nutrition, but they might be horrible when it comes to sleep and stress. Some people might be great in exercise and not really good in other areas. In our book, we've mentioned the Neuro Plan, which is an acronym that stands for nutrition, exercise, unwind or stress management, restorative sleep, and optimizing mental and social activity. It depends on the person where their strengths lie. So I think the first step would be just planning and understanding and knowing yourself, know thyself, and what are some of the areas that you need to work on.
Okay, go ahead, Dean.
And changing your health life is critical, that you actually take it on in small steps. We as physicians have repeatedly failed our patients. We do the cursory little hammer on the knee, listen to the heart, give a fake smile at the door, and then say, by the way, eat healthy or exercise. What does that mean to me? Yeah. In fact, the majority of the time should be spent planning with me around what I can do, and then build small steps.
Okay.
The only way that behavior changes is in small steps around your habits, your personality.
Okay, so let's talk about these tips. Let's talk about the N word. Here we are. We're going to talk about the N word. So nutrition. And nutrition, what does that look like? Because usually this is what baffles me. We go to doctors that smoke. We go to doctors who are overweight and look like they're a French fry away from having a heart attack. So we're getting advice from people that really don't know how we should live. And then you look at their patients and they look exactly the same way.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the N, nutrition, that we don't want to give that up. So go ahead, Ayesha. Would you like to discuss nutrition? What does nutrition look like?
Nutrition is probably the most important element when it comes to brain health. And, we've said this before. How can it not be? How can nutrition not be the most important thing? It's something that we put in our bodies 3 or 4 times a day. It actually creates that environment where our brain grows and thrives or completely destroys itself. So it's very important. And it's not something that we just found out yesterday or a year ago. This knowledge has existed for decades and decades as far as research is concerned. So we actually have objective evidence of what kind of diet is great for the brain. And over again, it comes to our attention that a food that is whole, which means unprocessed, plant-based diet seems to be the best. Yeah. And so that means eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, beans, lentils, nuts and seeds, a diet that is very low in processed sugars and low in saturated fats, or the fats that are derived from animal products and animal proteins, is the best way to go. We hear so much noise and so much confusion, diet this, diet that, superfood of the week. None of that. We've known for such a long time that a diet that is whole food plant-based is the best.
I love it. Go ahead, Dean.
You see how much passion she has for food?
Oh, I know. But you know what? We should have that passion for food.
Yeah.
But we have the passion because we could be very passionate, but we could be passionate for the wrong thing. Look at Hitler. He wanted to improve the race, right? But look at how his passion was so misdirected and so misguided that he was killing people. So the book is called The Alzheimer's Solution, 10th Caller or Texter, 407-373-5959. We're speaking with Doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai. They are both neurologists. What are the odds of these two people meeting each other in a land far, far away from where they sit today? So so I want to add to this. It's 407-373-5959. Gets the 10th caller or texter gets a copy. I don't answer the phone, so please call, leave a message, or text. I want to say something here about, we started a healthy eating and living tribe. That's Heal Tribe in both Jacksonville and the Space Coast. We are putting together, we're learning, we're holding each other's hand, we're supporting each other. Because, Dean, I would like to ask you this question. You know, when people change their nutrition, we get ridiculed, we get bullied, we get confused, we get fearful. What can you say to help someone cross that path to a more embracing to this kind of nutrition?
Every time that we break through a tradition, be it right or wrong, you're always going to get resistance.
Yes.
And food is very personal. Food is very, it's at the center of a family, at the center of a culture. Just 2 days ago, we gave a talk at a community talk where they invited us to this church, a Hispanic church, and it was the most beautiful thing. 40 older women came, and they were ready with their little notebooks, and it was such a beautiful experience. Yes. To me, that's to us the most beautiful experience. Yes. And we were talking to them, and we were telling them that about whole food, plant-based diet, and they were a little incredulous. And I said, you know that that's actually what the tradition was in the Latin countries, and in China and India, and in fact, in most of the country around the world. Mm-hmm. We were a plant-based oriented, mostly. The amount of sugar in our diet we've never had anything even close to this for centuries. The amount of meat, we've never had it for centuries.
Yes. Ayesha, it looks like you want to add something.
No, I think that's the most beautiful thing is finding out what works for the person and yes. what works for the community, and taking it from there. Finding out what works. The cookie cutter approach doesn't work anymore, of me telling you what you need to do. It has to come from within, from the person itself.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons we're creating our Heal Tribe, Healthy Eating and Living Tribe. And I'm splitting my time between Jacksonville and the First Coast and the Space Coast, because it is so important. Every doctor that comes on the show, because I just stopped bringing doctors in that are just about taking a pill. Take this pill, take this pill, take this pill. And as you know, my registered service mark is you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. It's not that I'm against the pill. I am for doing everything we can. And if you were to put sand in your gas tank, what would happen to your car? We would never think of that. But yet we put junk in our tank, and we expect our bodies to go. So we're going to continue our conversation. Remember, 10th caller or texter 407-373-5959 will win a copy of The Alzheimer Solution. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. It's amazing. We can't get enough talk about nutrition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's become very difficult for me. I see the people I love, and I just had a conversation with another doctor he's a whole food plant-based doctor in Jacksonville, and he's dealing with parents who are dying of unnecessary diseases, unnecessary dementia. Well, let's just put dementia aside. Heart conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure. And he said to me, I just don't know what to do. I help so many people in my practice. I can't help them. How do I'm feeling the same way with the people I love. How do you release that? How do you let it go? When you see these people writing all these notes, and you know they're going to walk out that door and they're going to go and have a Twinkie.
Yeah, we have so all the profits from the book go to this foundation we started, which is Healthy Minds Initiative, and everything we're doing is spreading the news in different communities. And we've actually gotten started on 2 very unique projects in beach cities, California, Manhattan Beach, Redondo, Hermosa Beach. The whole community, the whole district is actually instituting a Healthy Minds Initiative throughout the community, over 130,000 people. We just came from Sedona, Arizona, same thing. And we'll be going to Alaska. We'll be going to Hawaii. That's going to be a tough one. So we're taking on.
Was that a brag?
Yes. No. That's just me looking ahead, looking forward.
What about Florida? You came to Florida. We tried to reach out, but you guys are so busy.
We should do that. Lily, you tell us. We'll be there. I think this is such an important issue, and we would love to work with you on that.
And we will actually donate and start a project Florida wide or in Jacksonville,
Yes.
community driven. When you start a community driven project, it will stick. It will not stick 100% at first. It will be 10%, 15%. There's an inflection point. Once it gets past 15%, all of a sudden everybody starts seeing it around. That's when you have change.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I love what you're doing. So I am putting together, it's really difficult. People, you know that song by Meatloaf, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that, right?
Yeah.
That's how I would do anything for health. I would do anything for health, but I won't do that.
Yeah.
I won't drive, a half a mile, or I won't drive, to listen to this person. But this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to create an event. I've already got PBS. It's WJCT, I believe, is the public broadcast, and they have this huge room. Mm-hmm. And I know Jacksonville. We had 40 people show up to our kickoff meeting. I did. I don't know if you saw the documentary "Eating You Alive."
Not yet.
No.
Great documentary. Great. We did a screening. It was nationwide. Amazing. And we had 100 people show up for that. But I can't split myself for both. So I have to do back to back. I'm in Jacksonville, and then I come to Brevard County, and then I do this. But I would love it if we can do something, and we can talk about this off the air. Let's create something. If you're willing to come to Florida, I know that's another toughie, but you're in California. Why would you want to come to Florida? So
we love Florida.
We can't wait to share what we've done in the community efforts. Lily, I think you're going to love it, and we would love to be there.
Okay, perfect.
Count us in.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm working on this event, and it's like people, and I'll have to put you down for this event, and this would be great. I want Dr. Joel Furman to come. We're talking about June timeframe. So look at June and what your calendar looks like, because in conjunction with perhaps maybe a fundraiser for PBS, we can have everybody come together, invite the communities to come from far and wide. I would drive 2 hours to come see you, so let's see what we can create. And I'll have Ashley keep you posted on this.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That would
okay. So when we come back from the break, I want you to share the work that you've done with people that have lived centenarians. I've been stress. I've been sleeping 3 hours, going back and forth, because I'm also passionate and I want to be healthy myself. So, here we go. So I want to talk about the centenarians. Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. You can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. And my goal is to always learn something new from the people that are in front of you. We're all teachers. We're all students. But if you are a curious student of life, can you imagine the things you pick up? You can pick up what to do. You can pick up what not to do. Hopefully, when you listen to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, you're listening to what to do and how to change your life. You hear these things, and then what? That's why we created Healthy Eating and Living Tribe in Jacksonville, in Brevard County. Anyone who wants to participate worldwide, we have a Facebook page that you can join, and you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com to learn more about this. Today, we're talking to Doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai. Team Sherzai, yay team. They're offering the book, The Alzheimer Solution. This book speaks of a breakthrough program to prevent and reverse the symptoms of cognitive decline at any age. This was a gold find for us. And so I'm just so grateful that they come on. I want to encourage you to become part of my tribe, this movement of taking 100% responsibility for living the life of your dream. And what I mean by that is we're not victims of our DNA. We're not. We control it. And if we take our life back, our life will change. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, subscribe to the channel, the website, my YouTube channel. There's a bunch of little buttons that you can hit. Like me, subscribe, and be a part of this responsibility movement. And also you can be the 10th caller or texter, and you will win a copy of The Alzheimer Solution. 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. this is a topic so dear to my heart. I'm dealing with it right now with my parents. I have tried to impact them, and they love their food. And we die being in love with things that are not right for us. They're not good for us. And I'm so grateful for the time that you took to write this book, that you took the time to meet each other, to say, how can we together as a team impact the world as you have done? Now, I would like for you to share, for people who are new and just listening to you, Dean, we'll start with you, how you have worked with centenarians in the past and why why the two of you have come up with this formula.
Correct. So being in Loma Linda, and which is the only blue zone, the healthiest places in the world, several of them that Dan, a friend of ours, Dan Buettner, has described, and others have described as well. Not every city, every county, every country for that matter, have the same mortality and quality of life variables. Not the same, not even close. There are places where people live genuinely longer, healthier, and happier. Mm-hmm. So that's the critical factor. What is the difference? The difference seems to be in Loma Linda, where we studied this, and we studied other publications, and we actually wrote papers about this, where we brought all the research together in what's called comprehensive reviews. The same factors: food as a culture, as a healthy culture, and then movement, natural movement, continuously move throughout the day. And the third thing is management of stress, a very vibrant approach to life, a purpose-driven life, mm-hmm. a life that has meaning and purpose. And that purpose doesn't have to be something grandiose. It could be family. It could be your tribe. It could be your tribe, as you were saying. Build around that tribe. And then the fourth thing is sleep. Mm-hmm. Good, restorative sleep. Just because you knock somebody out with a pill, it doesn't mean they've got sleep. We heard from Michael Jackson and Prince, and they were sleeping with propofol, a drug that we use to anesthetize people. But it doesn't mean you've gone through the cycles of the sleep. And the last one, mental activity. And that doesn't mean playing Sudoku, although Sudoku is fine, I just don't like it, or following a little dot on a screen. It means being challenged with life, with purpose, with volunteering, being running a radio show, getting up 5 a.m, challenging your sleep. Yeah, so that's
awesome. Okay, so we talked about nutrition, which is a really important topic. Let's move to the E in neuro, which is exercise. Who would like to address this one?
I'll do that.
Okay, Ayesha.
Yeah, so exercise, that's one of the things that ties all these blue zones, or areas where people are very healthy and they live the longest. They just move naturally. You would rarely find them sitting on a chair, sitting down for more than an hour at a time. And that's very important. And we've now seen that people who exercise and move, they actually have bigger, healthier brains. Mm-hmm. There have been some studies that showed that twins, sisters that have the same genetic makeup, identical twins. The sister that had stronger legs actually had a bigger brain. So strong legs were associated with bigger areas of the brain that are responsible for memory. And then other than that, you get all these wonderful chemicals that are generated in your body that keep you happy, that keep you focused, attentive, and prevent not just diseases of the brain, but all the other diseases that you can think of, the chronic diseases of aging.
Besides the fact that they, when you exercise, you release endorphins, your oxytocin level goes up, which is this incredible chemical that actually keeps you happy, keeps you young. And then the other thing that happens is GDNF and BDNF, very technical terms. But these are growth factors of the brain. They go up. And the blood level to your brain goes up. I mean, natural movement is better than any drug. In fact, studies show that it's better than any drug when it comes to depression and anxiety.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're talking to Doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai. They're both neurologists. They wrote the book, The Alzheimer's Solution. The 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. This is just incredible. Okay, so let's move on to the U and neuro. And Ayesha, why don't we start with you? What is the U? And then we'll move on to Dean.
So we had to find a word for you. It's actually stress management, unwind or stress.
Unwind. I love it.
Stress stress eats away our brain, early life stress or even late life stress. But, there is such a thing as good stress. And that's one of the most important things to differentiate early. Good stress is the type of stress that is under your control, that you have labeled it. It's essentially that challenging position that you put yourself in for your brain to thrive. Mm-hmm. And then there's bad stress, where you don't have control over the elements at all, and it controls you. You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel at all. Okay. And that essentially breaks down the connections in the brains. It causes the release of cortisol and adrenaline and all these bad hormones that completely destroy the very structure of our brain, and it messes up with our memories. Mm-hmm. And how do you manage that? And how do people who are actually healthy manage that? The first place to start is just to label it. A lot of us have a lot of stresses and we don't know what they are.
Yes.
Spending some time to identify these stresses, and completely separating them from the things that are beneficial in your life is the most important step.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. And then the next step would be to either prioritize your activities or delegate them and have somebody else do it, or completely get rid of them. There is no such thing as multitasking. Yeah. We only actually can do one job at a time. Yes. And when people think they multitask, they do multiple things really, really badly, really poorly. and speaking from personal experience, so minimizing things, identifying your stresses, getting rid of them, and focusing on the things that are most important in life, like family, being present and mindful is the most important thing.
Okay, so I want to ask a question. We've learned from all the teachers on the show, that all disease has an emotional component. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about stress, unwinding, and all of that, how much does refusal to deal with the past, refusal to forgive, refusal to embrace, refusal to accept play a role in cognitive decline?
So at the center of everything is anxiety. And if I had to distill everything down, all human behavior down, it comes back to that stress level, that anxiety. But then there's a thing called, I've named it microanxieties, where you're not aware of it, but it's a tension in the background. Mm-hmm. That tension in the background is always going to be there if there's a dissonance in your life. Mm-hmm. If you have not closed the door, if you have not resolved an issue, that persistent dissonance that a lot of times you're not even aware of, creates a microanxiety. And those microanxieties create the bad hormones, the bad chemicals, the inflammations, which over time accumulate. And then what happens is overwhelms your system altogether. So by identifying, naming it, by resolving the things that you have to, you actually get rid of those microanxieties that actually, you know what? They're bigger than the big anxieties that you know of, because there's so many of them.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ayesha. What did you want to add?
Yeah, that is such an important thing. A lot of times we move along in life not knowing what those microanxieties are, and we think they're a normal part of our life. But when you spend some time and you parse it out, you can really find that there have been things that have been lingering for such a long time and nobody's really addressed it.
Yeah. I call that taking out your soul shovel and digging until there's only truth staring back at you.
I love it.
And yes. Another thing I say is the brain will not forget what the body will not forget what the brain wants to neglect. So it's important that we take out that soul shovel and dig. And we're going to continue talking to Dean and Ayesha Sherzai, both of them neurologists and the authors of the Alzheimer's Solution, 10th Color Texture, 407-373-5959. And we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Okay, so forgiveness. The tension between families. I had a conversation with someone that I was talking to as a certified life coach. I deal with a lot of people that have a lot of issues that are spanning from their childhood, traumas that they've had from their childhood. And I said, just need to look at that as use it for passion instead of poison. Use it for that. And when you forget, people say forgive and forget, right? No, you don't forget. Because that's Alzheimer's. That's why we get dementia, because we're like trying to protect ourselves. What is it? The brain gets so good about, neglecting, that it says, okay, we're going to just forget everything.
Exactly.
And this woman said, because she had a childhood, her childhood was very traumatic. And she said, oh, I'd rather get dementia. I'm looking forward to dementia then, because she does not want to forgive. She wants to forget her past. And it was so sad that we would rather forget our children and would rather forget how to eat and how to go to the bathroom than to deal with our issues. How would you address that? Let's start with you, Ayesha.
I think it's tough. It depends on the situation, but, I think it starts with loving yourself and understanding that everything starts from there. You can't really love somebody else and be of service to this world if you're not comfortable with yourself. And that's a big thing. And I know that you have a lot of experience with that. We see a lot of patients who come with this incredible stories of persistence and trauma, and it's so tangled up with everything else that has happened in their lives. So where do you start? And it just comes back to that self. You really have to accept yourself and love yourself, and that's a great place to start.
Yeah, it starts one step at a time.
Yeah.
Everything is that first step, and the lives are so entangled that sometimes disentangling it, just looking at that knot or that, massive knot is overwhelming. So I tell people, when it comes to nutrition, it comes to exercise, when it comes to everything, just take that one step. Yeah. You'll be surprised.
Yeah. And it's that first step, there's a movie called We Bought a Zoo.
Yes.
We bought a zoo. We bought a farm. We bought a zoo.
Matt Damon.
Yeah. It's somebody, and I need to go back and get all the facts of the movie, but I just remember this one saying of this movie that was so impactful. And, you think about climbing a mountain and hiking a mountain, being at the top of the mountain. But what he said was, all you need is 20 seconds of courage to take the first step. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't have 20 seconds?
Yes.
I can muster up 20 seconds.
Yes.
And when you were talking about, the mess, the drama, we keep attracting all this drama, what we want to continue to neglect. We continue attracting it because our body is trying to get ourselves into alignment. Yeah. And it reminded me of every time I pull out one of these things. It was like, it's like you're untangling it, but eventually it cleans out. Okay, here we go. This is our last one. So we need to get through R and O. So.
Yes.
5-9. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today we have our teachers, Doctors Dean and Ayesha Sherzai. Team Sherzai. You can go to teamsherzai.com. Their information's on my whenyouneedafriend.com. If you were a subscriber, you would have that. You can go to my Facebook page and you would have that information. So the 10th caller or texter, the Alzheimer solution, 407-373-5959. We're even talking about Doctors Dean and Ayesha coming to Florida to present. And let's do a retreat. Let's dig in deep so that we can deal with whatever it is we want to neglect, because it's going to keep persisting and we're going to keep attracting that. Okay, so we did the N for neuro. The acronym is neuro. Nutrition, E for exercise, U for unwind, that's for stress. R. Let's start with Dr. Dean. R. What is the R?
R is restorative sleep. This is incredibly important. Okay. We would not have evolved the ability to sleep, or put ourselves in danger 1/3 of the day by being knocked out unless there was a purpose to it. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
And there's a humongous purpose to it. There are two main purposes for sleep. One is putting information into right folders and files, and organizing your brain. In fact, that's why they've shown that people who don't sleep well one night, the next morning, their test scores go down significantly. And that's critical. The second part, which is just as important, if not more, is when people talk about detox, this and that, I said the most important two detoxes you have is water Drink lots of water. Your body is supposed to have 70% water. Your chemical processes take place in the environment of water. They can't take place otherwise. And as we get older, your water content goes down in your body, all the way down as much as 60%.
Wow.
And so drink water, 8 glasses or so. But the second one is sleep. During good sleep, during restorative sleep, you actually get rid of toxins. We've seen that one bad night's sleep, people's amyloid levels go up, those at risk. Inflammatory markers go up. Oxidation goes up. We see that the molecules or the cells that actually function to clean the brain, microglia, instead of cleaning up the good connections, they start eating away at the brain. They actually eat away at the brain. That's why people that have chronic bad sleep have smaller brains. So sleep is critical, but restorative sleep, where you go through the cycles. Sometimes medicine is important. Sometimes you need it as a tool, as a temporary tool.
Temporary. Thank you for saying that word.
But there's a lot more you can do to develop a good sleep habit.
Okay.
That's critical. If you think you have bad sleep problems, go to a person that knows 2 things. One is making sure that you don't have sleep apnea. And the other thing is they know about sleep hygiene. They know about neurocognitive problems. For those who have these running thoughts that they can't get rid of during that, those all can be addressed and resolved without medicine.
Yeah.
Very good. Ayesha, would you like to add to anything Dean said?
One thing that we see in the clinic and in the communities a lot is the underdiagnosis of sleep apnea. I can't tell you how many people actually live with sleep apnea and they're not using a CPAP machine or the machine that forces oxygen into your lungs. And people say, oh, I snore and sometimes I wake myself up because I kind of choke and I don't get air enough. We probably would be doing everything well, eating well, exercising, putting our mind, through the good stress that it needs. But if you have sleep apnea and you're not really doing anything, that essentially means that your brain doesn't get oxygen and nutrition for minutes to hours during night. And that really makes a big difference. So getting checked for sleep apnea is very important.
Okay. And I would like to add something here, because your number one is the N. The N word is nutrition. And if we were to have proper nutrition, how does sleep apnea resolve when the weight is lost? Dean, I see you nodding your head. Would you like to answer that?
Yeah, a significant number of people who have sleep apnea, it's because of overweight or redundant tissue or diabetes and other things. Yes, if you manage the weight, if you lose the weight, for a significant number of people, the sleep apnea will go away. But it's good but you can't wait till the sleep apnea goes away, your weight is lost. That's where the temporary nature comes in. If you have sleep apnea, put on the mask and start losing the weight. But for a small percentage, actually it's called central sleep apnea. That's not related to weight. They just have to wear the mask. But that's a much smaller percentage. You're right. A greater percentage is because of weight. And that's where the diet comes right in.
Very good. Okay, so we did the N, the E, the U, the R, and now it's time for the O. Let's start with you, Ayesha.
So O stands for optimizing cognitive activities and social activities. This is the part that actually builds the connections between brain cells. You can have as little as 2 or 3 connections or as many as 30,000 connections. The redundancy that we were talking about, that bank account that we were talking about, is created during cognitive activity. People who have had very complex, challenging jobs, they actually have a lot of redundancy and that cognitive reserve that they need to prevent Alzheimer's disease and other diseases of the brain. And it doesn't necessarily have to be playing, crossword puzzles or Sudoku or a small, computer game where you chase a small little dot on the screen. Complex lives, purpose-driven lives, a life that is that has a vector, that has a direction, and it comes from you, from your experiences, from your likes and dislikes, makes a big difference. Not just a small little booklet that somebody gives you to follow.
Yeah, that's right. Dean, would you like to add to what she just said?
There are 3 components that we've described in this. One is purpose. Because if the activity has purpose, has meaning, and like I said, the meaning doesn't have to be grand. I want to learn music because I love music, or I want to learn to dance because I've always wanted to dance, or I want to lead a dance group, or something of that nature.
Or a tribe movement.
A tribe, yes,
Healthy
yes.
eating and living tribe, heal tribe. Go ahead.
That's way more than following a little dot on a screen, because two reasons. One is it's more complex. The other is yours that gives it purpose, more sustainable, and it connects everything else. It's always richer. The second component is complexity. Complex tasks. Dancing is complex. You will know it when you see me dance. It's very complex.
Yeah, watch the YouTube video.
No, it's because it involves frontal lobe, because you have to process, you have to memorize memory centers, you have to be creative, parietal lobe, you have to have the visual spatial, occipital lobe. Look at this. By dancing, you're involving the entire brain, including the emotional centers.
Yes.
It's not just following a dot. When you do playing musical instrument, I play musical instrument just as poorly as dancing. I play guitar. It's visual spatial, it's motor, it's processing, everything. The third component is challenging. Something can be complex, but if you repeat it, it's not challenging. That means it's not pushing the brain to connect. So always take it to the next level. And who knows that next level better than you? Nobody. So always push it to the next level. Push it to the next level.
I love that, because last time you came on, that was something that resonated. I even went to my husband, because you even talked about how people who like to read, can still get dementia because it's not challenging to them. Sudoku, that's not why you're saying that it's not challenging. Eventually it becomes familiar. So what I'm hearing you say is, if it's familiar to you, get out of your comfort zone and start either giving back, find purpose, find meaning, and that's contribution to the world.
Yeah. And we talk about social activity just because of that, because when you're in a social setting, you don't necessarily just involve language or visual spatial or memory. It's all of them at the same time. Your brain is on fire when you're in a social setting.
It's challenging.
I love it. If for those of you, 10th caller or texter, the Alzheimer Solution, a breakthrough program to prevent and reverse the symptoms of cognitive decline at every age. You need to, if you don't win the book today at 407-373-5959, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm making it so easy. You can just click on it and it will take you to Amazon. You can also get the book in your local stores, and you can check out teamsherzai.com to learn more. And we're going to keep getting both the team back to be part of our tribe, to be part of maybe guest speakers in one of our gathering. It is so exciting to see doctors that go outside of their comfort zone, what you've learned, to bring people to that next level of understanding. Thank you for the two of you for doing everything you do to heal the world.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so proud and overjoyed to be a part of your tribe, Lily.
Thank you. Thank you so much for accepting. And for those of you, you've learned a new truth. Now, what are you going to do about it? Join a tribe. Join the tribe. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com and learn more. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. That's the best ever. Good job. Yes. Well, is there anything that you would like to add? I know it's early in the morning and you'll probably the last time we had a conversation, you had your curtains open. You had gone to a different place and it was dark and then the light was coming out. And so I really appreciate you coming out really early in the morning. I know you have a busy day. Is there anything you'd like to add before we close the show?
The fact that we are actually donating everything, all the profits to the Healthy Minds Initiative, where we come to every community and try to build this movement for brain health.
And you can learn more about it on healthymindsinitiative.org. I think it's an incredible opportunity for all of us as community members to get together and address this at a grassroots level. We're not probably going to get funded by some of the bigger organizations to do
or
that.
Pharmaceutical industry.
Great. But we need to support each other. And, that we've decided that all of the proceeds of the book, profits will go to the initiative and we'll take it from there.
Healthcare is not in the clinic or in the hospital. Yeah. That's sick care. Healthcare is at home and in the community.
What would you say to someone who has rashes, eczema, that have inflammation in their body? That do you feel that is something that people outgrow without changing their nutrition, or how much does nutrition play in exterior signs on the body?
Oh, I think it's your body just screaming for help. I think it's a great indication that there's a lot of inflammation and that it needs to be addressed. And we've actually seen people who have had metabolic syndrome, and the only reason they started paying attention to it is because it actually came out on the skin, which kind of makes you think, like, I wish all of the diseases had, symptoms that showed themselves on the body, because we know that there's a lot going on inside, but it doesn't show on the outside, and people don't really make that connection.
Well, many people think that eczema, for example, is a condition.
Mm-hmm.
And that condition has pills or creams or potions or lotions. If someone were to change their diet, or is that something that is diet related? Are they allergic to something? Can you share, can you address that issue?
Yeah, it's not our field, but we know that all these diseases, majority of diseases that so far have been called immunological diseases, respond to environment, respond to exercise, respond to food significantly. I mean, from eczema to asthma itself, to depression, anxiety, and even the diseases that were called the solid diseases, the stroke and the heart disease and dementia. We know all of them respond to the nutrition and exercise, but definitely the immunological diseases. The immune system is directly affected by your food. And whether it's hyperactive, where you get the hyperactive diseases like X, or they're hypoactive and you get infections and these minor infections that slowly accumulate. All of them respond to food over a long period of time, more than any pill.
Yeah.
That's why so what we're talking about, although we're focusing on the brain, it's a closed system. It affects the entire body.
But yeah, if it's showing up on the skin, how is it affecting your brain?
Yeah. So immune system. So let's talk about genetics. So we talk about genetics all the time and dementia and say, is it a genetic disease? Well, everything is a genetic disease, meaning we have a genetic background. Your genetics are affected by the environment. Some diseases, no. If you have the genetic, you're going to get it. Huntington's disease.
3%, right?
Correct.
3% of our DNA manifests in disease. Everything else is environmental and things we can control.
Exactly. But even that 3%, there's a concept called epigenetics, meaning that the genes are altered by environment. The two astronauts, one of them went out for a long period of time in space. When the brother came down, the brothers, twins, identical twins, the one brother that was in space, the genes had been altered by 7%. How was genes altered? Well, it's the epigenetics that are altered, meaning that how the genes are turned on and off. Your environment determines which genes are turned on and off. That's the critical factor. In Alzheimer's, there are 30 genes that have been identified so far, or roughly that much. And what are these genes? These are not Alzheimer's genes. These are genes that have to do with your vascular response, your immune response, that's the bigger chunk, your ability to get rid of waste from the cells. These genes have to do with regular functions of the cells. Yeah. And what happens to you in life determines if those genes are doing a good job or a bad job, period. That's where, as far as the genes come, it's their ability to respond to environment.
What people don't understand is what we inherit the most is the way we eat. The recipes, that's what we inherit, the family recipes.
That's true.
And then you see generations of, my aunt had diabetes, my uncle had diabetes, my mom had diabetes. Well, how have the family recipes been handed down? And, it's difficult to walk away from these family recipes. And because I have been ridiculed for the way I eat. And for 20 years, I've been listening to my body for over 20 years. And it was manifesting in my skin. It was manifesting in other ways. And all I was doing is taking pills. That's why I'm so passionate about this. And I would love to have you guys come to meet our tribe. And because this is infectious.
It is.
And that's why I'm starting the tribe, because I've got so many people that I love saying, you're wrong. You should, comply by our traditions. Mm-hmm. But the same people that made fun of me 20 some years ago are now finding out that they too have allergies, that they too have reactions, and they're looking at me differently. They're not making fun of me as much. So I say I'm taking the bullets for the people that are in my circle so they don't have to take the bullets.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
you're doing the same thing, and you're doing it in a global way. And with your Healthy Mind initiative, I do a little clip at the end of every show to promote people to go to the YouTube. And so I'll mention that the profits of the book go to the Healthy Mind initiative. And I want to thank you for everything that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to getting you here sometime in June.
Let's
Good?
do it.
Looking
Deal?
forward to it.
We're looking forward.
Let's
Yeah.
dance on it. Let's dance on it.
Okay.
Okay. That's better than a pinky swear. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so
Yeah.
much. And I look forward to our next conversation. And to you, my viewing friends, thank you so much. Please get the book. If you didn't get the copy, get the book, The Alzheimer's Solution. It's an excellent book to get you started to the life of your dreams. We'll see you soon.